for you. All right.
I don't have my notes, so I'm trusting you. You're the podcast coordinator.
Okay, I got promoted, guys. Welcome. We are literally just straight jumping into this one today from busy schedules, picking up kids, shuffling kids around. We both work today.
Today was my Friday, so a little bit later than normal day at work.
Way to brag.
Well, I have a golf tournament tomorrow, so...
You're right, that sounds boring.
You would rather go to work, I think, from playing a golf tournament.
I would, especially with everything going on at work. I'm actually really enjoying my job right now. So yeah. All right, well, this episode I have bullet points like I said I would do. This one was supposed to start off with me genuinely from the bottom of my heart thanking everybody who is along with us on this journey. We are having a blast, and we are just really glad that you're here. So thank you for sticking it out with us, and we hope that you enjoy.
Yeah, it's been fun. Did we talk about our little mishap yesterday, or breezed right past it?
What happened yesterday?
We tried to record with Michael, and we didn't test anything. We just went straight into it, and we went to go check it afterwards, and it was like bad mic problems.
What's funny is our first podcast got a lot of really good reviews about the sound quality. They're like, wow, it sounds really good for your first one, really good for your home studio. Spoiler alert to those who don't know, we don't actually have a studio.
We're in the closet.
And so our first one was such a success. We just like the squiggles were squiggling, and so we were good. Y'all are going to eventually get a full-on blooper reel. Stay tuned for that, because that will be a lot of fun. We love to share our mishaps. But this is going to be essentially a get-to-know-us podcast. We have no little ones joining us. That's not true. We could end up with an interruption, but that's if they find us. We are hiding in the closet.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're going to just kind of explain a little bit about who we are as a couple, our origin stories, all of that.
Yep.
So start at the beginning. How would you describe your childhood?
I was 8 pounds, 15 ounces, 21 inches.
Almost an April Fool's baby.
Yes, almost an April Fool's baby.
Not to dox your birthday.
Yeah, bringing it on back, doxing everything. The funny story that my dad always used to tell was that he gave the doctor an extra 20 to get me out before April Fool's Day. Who knows if that's true or not. My dad was maybe more sarcastic than I am.
And such a storyteller that there were times I didn't know if he was leading into a joke or this really happened.
Yeah.
Such a true storyteller.
Never take the man seriously.
And if Senior had a podcast.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, man. Okay, so my family tree might need its own episode.
Here it is, guys.
Yeah.
What you've been waiting for.
So I am the oldest, the youngest, the only one, and the one in the middle. So I have 2 older sisters from my dad's first marriage. I am the only one from my mom and my dad's marriage. And then my mom had 2 more after, and her second or third marriage or whatever it was. So I've got 2 older sisters, a younger brother, and a younger sister. And I don't really do the whole half sibling thing. They're all my brothers and they're all my sisters, and we're all fully related in my mind. That's just how my brain works.
The only thing it plays into is why weren't some of them there for your whole childhood?
Yeah.
It's really the only reason it even gets mentioned. But fun fact, I am very similar in the fact that I have some siblings from my mom's side, some siblings from my dad's side. Me and my sister both have same mom, same dad. And then my dad...
Good for you.
I know, yeah. I am in no way, shape, or form an only. I am classic middle child. If I had to identify as anything, it is classic middle child all the way. My sister was the first daughter, the first granddaughter on both sides. She was, I don't want to say the favorite, but some might say. I'm not bitter. And then my dad had 2 kids with his second marriage. So I have a brother and a sister. And then my mom remarried and also had 1 more. So I have another little brother. So we both have 4 siblings. 1, 2.
At least.
Yeah, that we know of.
That we know of.
I actually do have a stepsister who I count. And then I have just so much bonus family between my in-laws and Sometimes you'll hear me talk about a sister and you won't know if they're blood related or just they identify as my sister because we lived together at some point in time and became incredibly close. So that's something we had in common, was the blended family aspect.
Yeah, like technically blended, but not in our minds.
Never like it was never
not in our hearts.
So that was something cool that we had in common, and we both moved an insane amount of times.
Yes.
For non-military families.
I guess technically my dad was in the military, but he was also like 50 by the time I was born. So my older sisters are 12 and 14 years older than me, and then my younger brother and sister are 7 and 9 years younger. So I definitely relate to the only child, but mostly I relate to being the oldest.
If I didn't know, I would say you're an oldest.
Yeah, I don't know. I talked a little bit with this about Michael, but I'm probably a little bit harder on him than the other two when it comes to being responsible and setting a good example and like expecting stuff out of him. And that's not his fault, you know, whenever I am hard on him, but that's just kind of how I view the world. You know, I do feel that pressure being the oldest. It plays into how you think about things, how you treat situations a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think Michael took that conversation well. So we also both grew up either living with or living close to, or just having like grandparents heavily involved in our upbringing.
Yep.
And I would say that has probably shaped us a tremendous amount. And if I had to say like something that I took from my childhood into how I parent, it's that we have an army of, we have all the our kids have so many grandparents. And so we've been very blessed with the grandparents being so involved.
Yeah. We had mom and dad and mom and dad's parents and my friends' parents. I had 2 really close friends in high school, and they were like my second moms. Mm-hmm. So it was very much, hey, if you're going to do something stupid, make sure you're doing it at my house. And my mom was that way as well. So it gives you like a sense of comfort, I guess, the ability to learn without really falling too far.
Mess up. Yeah. I mean, we were allowed to be stupid, and I think we got it out of our system. So when it was time to like buckle up and get our act together, we did. Because I also had a little bit into my backstory is I did move out of my parents' house. I lived with my mom for 13 years, and then just for a change of school, a change of scenery, I ended up moving in with my dad, and it did lead to a lot more opportunities. But when I got 17, like all 17-year-olds, that wasn't working out for me. I thought I could do so much better on my own. And so I did end up moving out, which was a little bit tough, a little bit rocky. But I had really just a family friend, it was really a friend's family, if I had to label it. And they took me in and helped me figure out college. They helped me figure out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, how to pursue that, because neither of my parents went to college.
Took you through the whole grant process and
everything.
Drove you to the place and stood in line with you.
First, I did it myself. And then I stood forever in the wrong line. And when they were like, oh no, honey, you've got to go to that one across the way, I was like, I'm going to my car and I'm leaving. This isn't for me. And I was just like way overwhelmed, way in over my head. And so she ended up taking me the next time. She's like, nope, we're going to do this. And basically held my hand through the whole entire process and made sure I left there registered for school.
Which is incredible.
Incredible. Yeah. She owed me nothing and gave me everything. So we both had people like that in our lives that just showed up when we really needed it with nothing, didn't ask for anything in return. Yep. So very blessed and hoping to carry that on and pay it forward.
Yeah. My mom and dad didn't work out around the time I was like 2 or 3, somewhere in there. And then ended up splitting up and both remarrying. My dad didn't have any more kids after me, but my mom had my brother and sister. My dad was a huge part of my life. He got me every other weekend. We would change off who got me on Thanksgiving and Christmas and whatever. But yeah, my dad was always there. Games every other weekend, Wednesday nights. Anytime he could, he would pick me up. So having lost the mom and dad at home every day when I was 3, I don't really have a big vacancy from that. Okay. And then my stepdad was always He's a big child, but he was always there for me. He was always a lot of fun. And then him and my mom divorced when I was like 9, which is around the same time my dad moved out of state for 8 or 9 years. And so that was kind of a hard time for me. Lost my stepdad. My dad moved away, which he paid to fly me out all the time. And I would spend the whole summer out there, and it would be 2 or 3 week trips. And it was a lot of fun, but I lost the consistency of every other weekend and Wednesdays.
And feeling like he's right there.
Yeah. So
that's big.
Like one year it was mom on Thanksgiving and dad on Christmas, and then the next year they would switch. But my mom was my rock. Like, she was there for me all the time.
These days, your mom is my rock.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't know if I would say necessarily full of wisdom on her own, but she has learned life well. Probably through her own hardships, like trial and error and all that. But she's become wise because of what she's gone through. And that was a great way for me to learn through her. I've still made my own mistakes and stuff, obviously, but I have a lot to be grateful for what my mom taught me.
When I got into a car accident a couple of weeks ago, she was like it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's so dark outside. No one.
Husband's not answering his phone.
Gary did not answer his phone. That did stress me out a little bit. But it was like, who am I going to call at 5 a.m.? She's the one.
Yeah.
She's been that for us at another time in our life when my water broke and we had to figure out childcare for one of the kids. And we were like, wait, this wasn't supposed to happen. And sure enough, who do you call at 1 a.m.?
Yeah.
Robin, every single time.
She's always been there for me like that, too. It's no matter what, thick and thin, whether I did like the worst thing in the world and pissed her off or whatever, she's always showed a lot of grace and helped you through it, kind of thing. So.
Speaking of grace, I would say that's probably my mom's biggest attribute too. She just doesn't judge, probably because she's been through it too, and she's just very like understanding. But I used to joke that I could call her and be like, "Hey mom, like I killed someone." And she would be like, "Honey, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like, I'm so sorry that you went through that." And like somehow I would still come out the victor, and that like I would come out the good guy. She just does not see my flaws ever.
Do you need a shovel?
And she would be like, I actually know a guy, and would hook me up. So also shout out to Christina. She is just the kindest person. And I say that like even people who like my dad, who they divorced, they were married young, they divorced young, and he was like, no, your mom is the nicest person. My stepmom, who is married to my mom's ex-husband, is like, oh my gosh, your mom is the sweetest person, kindest heart I ever did meet. And that is my mom. She's the sweetest.
That's where you got it from.
Oh, baby, that's so sweet.
It wasn't your dad.
When I moved out of my mom's at 13 years old, by the way, I, in my head, genuinely was like, but I'm like an adult. Like, I actually already know everything. Moved out from my mom's house, who just, oh baby, you're the greatest thing in all the world to me, to end with my dad, who was like, you can do better.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I made a B on this really hard test. And he's like, why not an A? And he didn't ever accept that that was my best, because it wasn't. School always came easy to me. And it was like, how much effort do I have to put in to still make a good enough grade? And I was very efficient with that. And I did. Like, I don't need to do my homework, because if I don't do any homework, then all I need to do is make an 85 on my test and I'll be fine. So I didn't do a whole lot of studying early on because I didn't have to. I was still going to make a good grade. And my dad was like, no, but you can do better.
Yeah.
And I needed that. Like, I did need the structure and the stability, and it ended up being really good for me. But obviously at 17, I didn't agree with that. And so I was like, I got this. Spoiler alert, I did not.
You're really smart at school, whatever. We all get it.
Yeah, I'm so smart. Ask me how nursing school went. It was not the best. Do you want to say how we met?
Bumble.
Is Bumble still around? Is
I have
Bumble
no
still
idea.
things?
I don't know.
We did meet on a dating app, and it's funny because we were on a dating app, but both of us were so clearly not ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
We weren't looking for like a friends with benefits situation either, but I think we both were like open to the idea of if the right person comes along, but so clearly not in the right place for a relationship.
I think I've always been a 4 quarters, not 100 pennies kind of person. I would still consider my best friend, who I see once in a blue moon, but we could go a year or two without seeing each other and months without talking, and it's like we never skipped a beat once we hang out again. Like, we've known each other 25 years now, something like that. So
how we met, though.
yeah, I know, I'm getting there. I do the weave, remember?
Yes, yes.
See, now you knocked me off the weave. Okay, so yes, I have my close friends, and I have a lot of acquaintances. I'm a little bit of a social butterfly once I actually get out there and do stuff. But after a lot of really hard relationship endings to relationships, at least, I got on apps like dating apps and like I was more active on social media and things like that. And I was like, maybe I need to work on just having more friends and being, I don't know, an easier person to be around. Maybe I'm the problem, but I mean, and sure, there might have been stuff that I caused problems with throughout, but I felt like I tried towards the end and other people didn't. But anyway, so that's why I got on the apps, was more to just meet people and, I don't know, actually date for once and not pick a flower and smell the flower and choose the flower kind of thing. Like, that was my big thing, is like when I came across someone that was like super cool, it was like I would just date them. I'm a very monogamous person. So
Very monogamous person. And I was in nursing school. We actually met in April and I graduated in May. And so I was through the thick of it, but still had finals. I still had my big NCLEX and I was applying for jobs. I had a whole lot of big things going on. And so I was ready in a lot of senses. So it was like, hey, I'm finally done with this time-consuming chapter of my life and ready to dive into a relationship. But I was like, I have all of this big stuff, so much unknown coming up that I don't know how much I'm going to have to give to this relationship. So we really did not think that we were ready. And I remember crying. Actually, my grandpa had passed away. It was like the main trigger. But I remember crying on the phone to Gary and being like, it really sucks, because we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend officially yet, but we had danced around it for so long of, I really like you, but man, the timing's not good. Yeah. And I cried and I was like, you are the right person at the wrong time. And that sucks. It sucks that this isn't going to end up working out. And he was kind of like, well, why don't I just wait till the right time? And I was like, I can't ask you to do that though. And no, that can't possibly work. And he's like, is it because we're talking too much and you've got too much else going on? Let's just talk a little less. And very like meeting me where I was at and trying to be exactly what I needed. Maybe seeing that I was grieving and was needing to process things, but just gave me exactly what I needed to feel all my big feelings and never took them personal. You never once turned that around and was like, remember when you tried to end things with me and were wrong? You just were like, oh, this is what she needs. And you were there.
I think the first couple of months too, I was fighting jumping back into something else again.
Oh, I was fighting that for you too. I remember being like, you need a bachelor pad and you need to date for a long time and you need. And you were like, I don't think I do.
I just never, I don't know. You know when you try a new drink and you know right away whether you like it or not, most of the time. Every once in a while you're like, take a couple more sips and you're like, maybe it's not for me. I just like what I like. And I'm going to do my very best to keep it PG. But there's a lot of BS out there. And there's a lot of fake people or people that are real, but they fake while they're dating and all that. I just don't do any of that. Like, just be who you are, you know?
We were, by the time we were dating, both over the games.
Yeah.
It was like, I like you. And we didn't really play hard to get in that sense. The only thing we played hard to get in was, I don't know if I'm ready. And it was like, I don't know if I'm ready either. And it wasn't a game. It was like honest. It was real.
Both very hesitant to fall in love again. And
for good reason.
Yes.
Because for those who don't know, both of us have been married before.
Yes.
And we had, I don't want to say like traumatic relationships, but it wasn't the right person. It wasn't the right time. It was like, I was very, very young when I got married and when I got divorced.
Or not the right chemistry or communication abilities. Or, it didn't work out.
It wasn't healthy. Obviously, when you get to that point and you realize that you're married to either the wrong person or it's just not working out for whatever reason, and you're fighting so hard to make it work, And like you said, maybe they're not putting in that same fight, or maybe they feel like they are. Maybe they felt like they were fighting, but it was coming across as like fighting against you, fighting against each other. And so we came into our relationship with guards up naturally, but also like an immediate instinct to be defensive and to be very careful with how we communicated certain things. Both of us are very like giving by nature. And so we were like, not this time. This time I'm going to take care of myself first.
Well, actually, you're right about that. But it was also an aspect of just stop hiding from who you are. Just be yourself. And if that person accepts who you are, then that's what's meant to be. Don't fake it until you make it kind of thing.
I think I agree with what you're saying, though, is like you might have kind of realized like I'm going to be true to myself. And I feel like I remember some of those conversations where you're like, no, I'm not going to pretend or whatever. But for me, mine was the other way around. Is like I would slip up and be very real or very vulnerable. And every single time I was just met with so much like grace and so much understanding. And it was like bit by bit, I was like, I really like that. Like I really like being able to be myself and not being told I'm crazy or naggy or all of the other words that I had gotten so used to hearing. That I was like, you know, like whenever I'd get really excited and I would plan something and I would be like, and then you're going to do this and I'm going to do this. And, you know, instead of you being like, well, that's kind of bossy, you were like, thank you for not giving me more things to think about. Like you were just taking it off my shoulders. And I'd be like, oh, you see me.
It was very refreshing for me to be around someone who was obviously being real about it. Or you were just really good at faking being real, which is, I don't see how you could do that. But it was a whole fresh new perspective for me because my relationship that I had for the longest in high school lasted until shortly after high school, and then that didn't work out and we were very young. And then shortly after that I met someone who I dated when I was, you know, before high school, and it was like, oh, this is meant to be. And so I was in a long-term relationship with that person. So my adult relationships, like there was one really. So being around someone who, I don't know, it was mostly a feeling than anything else. But yeah, the whole like actual real emotion, raw, like things actually legitimately affected you and I could feel it. That was a refreshing thing for me. I hadn't ever really been with someone like that before. And so if anything, I liked you being emotional and crying and
thank goodness. Yeah. Thank goodness. Took a gamble on that one.
I'm over it now.
But speaking of refreshing and real, I always appreciated your, I don't want to say dark humor because it's not always dark, but like the first day that we texted and we texted back and forth for, I want to say we went for hours on the dating site and I'd given you my number. And so we were texting back and forth. And at the end of it, I don't remember what happened, but I knew I was in the thick of a busy season of my life.
I think you had school the next day or something.
And you were just like, yeah, so this has been fun, but I just don't think that this is going to work for me for something that I'm like, but you knew that this whole time.
Yeah.
And you're like, but this has been fun. And like, yeah, good talk, but we're probably not going to talk again. Day one, we've only been talking for a couple of hours and I had typed up the lengthiest, you're a jerk, you're the worst, I can't believe you did this, way to waste my time. I put so much energy into how mad I was. And thank goodness, before I hit send, you were like, just kidding, hope I can talk to you again tomorrow. And the way you got me, I genuinely like laughed out loud and was like, that was good. That was bold.
Well, you remember like the second thing we talked about. Oh. We were still on that.
Yeah, we ended up going like on for ages about Carrie Underwood's legs, and
it was like 4 messages total.
What a goddess Carrie Underwood is. And it was something I had started and you like ran with. And I was like, oh, this is how we're doing this. We're talking about other women.
Like our second or third message back and forth, we started like a this or that thing. And you said Carrie Underwood or Miranda Lambert. And I said, definitely Carrie. And I was like, well, she's got those legs. And somehow or another, I still got your number a few minutes later. So.
Yeah, good. Well played. You got game.
See, guys, honesty.
It ended up being a lot of like banter like that, though. Like, I feel like there were times you would do that with my family and you would bring up something that I said was like a touchy subject and you would like make a joke of it. And I'm like, wow, that's really bold. And then everybody would laugh and everybody, like, it was a perfect icebreaker. And you've continued doing that.
Like when I told you to chill out the other day.
Yeah, I actually talked about that at work and was like, and then he said, chill out. And when in the history of ever has it worked out? And then he was like, well, it worked.
It's worked at least once.
At least once. You take the risk and it pays off. So anyways, we met on a dating app and we fought it hard. We lasted, I think, like several months of
not even really dating or not being official, but
no. And I think most of our interactions were like group settings.
Yeah.
Like we went to a ball game with your family, and we went camping with my family, and we just kept doing all these group activities. We went to your friends through some type of barbecue thing. I don't know if it was Memorial Day or 4th of July or something.
Thanksgiving.
Well, we did Friendsgiving. That was we were a little bit more serious there.
Yeah.
Because this is
That
when
was
you
funny.
you were seeing wedding bells, and I had no idea until you accidentally let it slip to your entire friends group.
I don't remember what Levi said, but
It was something about y'all being old, because you are older than me, in case anybody doesn't know.
were we officially dating at that point? I think we were officially boyfriend and girlfriend.
We were talking about moving in.
And he was like, what do you think? You know, I don't remember what he said, but my answer was, that's why I married a hot young nurse. And he said, you did what? And I was like, that's why I married a hot young nurse. What did, like, I don't know, did I stutter? And he was like, you did what? And I said, that's why we're not married yet.
Yeah, no ring had been purchased at that time.
Hadn't even proposed yet.
I don't think I even caught it until like the third one, because we had gotten really close really fast. That also felt natural to me until I was like, oh, he wants to marry me.
Well, I think gotten close fast in the technicality that we had only been dating a couple weeks officially. Yeah, been boyfriend and girlfriend officially or whatever.
Because we held off for 6 months? Yeah. That's still pretty quick to be seeing wedding bells. But it did spark the question, and I remember feeling this one to my core, is we had both been married before. And I was like, I just can't see standing up, on that altar again. I've said the vows before, and I don't know how you would take me seriously. Like, I genuinely felt like I couldn't get married again, because how could somebody choose, like, how could you believe me? I've already broken it before. And I remember asking you that. We were sitting out on a swing, and it just like came up very naturally, very organically. And I was like, I just don't know how we could do this, because we both have done this before. And without skipping a beat, it wasn't planned, it wasn't scripted, but you were just, do you remember what you said? Or how you said it?
Break hours?
Yeah. You were like, we didn't break our vows.
Yeah.
Both of us, and that's true, both of us fought really hard to save our marriages, even when we had every right, every reason to walk away. We had both been very hurt by the other person, and we were like, okay, this is, and we both pitched marriage counseling, whether we went or didn't. We both pitched jumping back into the church and diving in full force. I remember
figure it out.
I remember getting CDs of like a marriage counseling like seminar. It was like a 4 CD thing about how to fix your marriage.
Aging yourself.
And
CDs.
yeah, no, I know. And one of them, the thing I remember the most about it was like, if 95% of the problem is your spouse. And I was like, yes. And they're like, 95% of the time, they're the ones who aren't receptive. They're the ones who are, and I'm like, yes, he's 95% of the problem. Absolutely. And they were like, focus on the 5% that you can control. And I was like, take it out. Eject. This isn't right. So admittedly, yes, I was very young. I was 18 when I was married and 20 when I was divorced. So that was a factor. Absolutely, that was a factor. But also, we were hurt, and both of us still fought very hard to save the marriages that were wrong for us. And so basically, Gary was like, he said something along the lines of, I would feel comfortable making that promise with you because of how hard you fought, and because of how hard I fought, I feel like we could make it work.
Right.
More or less. My
previous thing was a little bit different, I think.
Because you were older?
So much older. That is 4 years.
Something like that.
So I've always been fairly immature. Like, at least, I don't know, outwardly immature. Like, I don't know, I like joking around.
Playful. I don't necessarily think there's immaturity there, but you are very playful.
I think I've been through a lot of loss and don't really care to dwell on negativity. And I'm a little bit of a hippie, like a modern day hippie probably. Like, love and peace, guys. Like, let's just work it out,
It works for me. All my coworkers know that you're my like walking Xanax. Like I'm around you and I'm like instantly like, oh, everything's fine.
So if I look back, which I try not to, if I look back and I try to figure out what might have been the problem on my end, the 5% or whatever, it was probably more like 75-25 on my end. But I know that knowing now what I didn't know then, I'm not a good communicator now. So I can't imagine what I was before I met you, and you helped me through some of my communication issues. So I'm sure that probably was a bit of a problem in my previous marriage. But in my defense, no one tried to help me.
Yeah.
It was
and it wasn't a safe space to be vulnerable.
It was let's go out and have fun and everything's hunky-dory for the most part, and maybe I'm misremembering a bit of it, but it's trying to block out the trauma that, was what it was.
How you felt was real to you in that moment. And that's your takeaway for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think that both of us have done a really good job of, you were more good at, more good. You were better at.
Much more better
at taking accountability and, accepting your 25%. I'm sticking to I was barely 5%, guys.
You're perfect.
I was barely 5%.
I don't think I said that in the first podcast. So you told me I was perfect. Now you're perfect.
But I do give a lot of grace to the fact that for mine, it was our age. We had no business trying to, and that doesn't mean for everybody. Some people find their high school sweethearts and it works for them. And I think that's incredible. But for me personally, I was in I'm newly out on my own. I'm finding out who I am. And I was in a selfish era. And as somebody who's very empathetic and naturally non-selfish, I will give and give. And so when I was new to the whole finding out who I am without my parents, without siblings, without anybody, and then to try to jump into a marriage, because we had been dating for a while, to try to jump into a marriage and be everything for somebody, that wasn't ever going to work. Yeah. And he was very selfish and naturally, every right to be, needed to go out and grow up. And I ended up having 5 years between my divorce and meeting Gary. And I think I did a lot of growing in that 5 years. All of nursing school was in that amount of time. Don't ask me how long it took to get my associate's degree. But I did at least the 2 years that it takes the average person, with some pauses in between. But I did it.
You did it.
I had a lot of
obstacles. Look at you now.
I had a lot of stuff going on in between. But mostly I had a lot of growing up to do and finding out who I am on my own so that I could be ready for a relationship. So I do think whenever we met, I was very ready for that in that sense. I had healed a lot of my previous stuff and my childhood traumas as well as my first marriage traumas. I had healed a lot of that by the time we met. But what I hadn't done was learn how to truly trust somebody and be willing to be vulnerable. And then I think our biggest thing that we worked through early on was the communication skills.
Communication was a huge thing. It still is.
I remember one time being really frustrated with you for something, and I was taking it out on the fact that you bought a Switch or something, and it was a shared Switch or something, and I was frustrated, but even in my head, I didn't know what I was so mad about. And so I couldn't talk to you about it because I wasn't really mad about the Switch. And it ended up I was picking stupid fights all throughout the day. I was picking stupid fights over little bitty things, and you called me on it. You were just what's really wrong though? What's really going, because it's not this, whatever surface level thing I was talking about. And then I was oh, I think I'm really frustrated about this over here. I don't know why. Yeah. And then we talked through, oh, well, this is also going on. And then this is also going on. So maybe, we kind of
build up,
figured out. And I think that was one of those times that it led to a very big, change for us.
I think if this is potentially how to, marriage tips thing, I think one of the big things is obviously, I think I said it before, but be nice to each other. You love each other for a reason. We all have flaws. It's just whenever you are upset with someone about something and you are struggling with something, you need to communicate that, period. And it has to be, especially in a like a bond that's as important as marriage is. Like you cannot let things bottle up. And I was really bad about that because like I'm fine. I've been through a lot. I can handle this. I'm a man, whatever, you know. If you let all those little things bottle up, eventually it's going to spew out. And you're going to have a fight about something silly that's not really even the important thing. Mm-hmm. And maybe there isn't one important thing. Maybe it is a bunch of little things. You got to communicate all that stuff. You got to figure out a way to do it nicely. Be like, hey, this is really silly. I don't know why this is bothering me, but the way you said this, or you did this without talking to me about it. Like, I don't want to make a big fuss about it, but I also don't want it to build up and come out later.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think that's really important.
I think that was something that, because we've talked about this, I tend to read into things. That's something I do often. So when I would think that maybe he was upset about something, but then he would be like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I would like just be waiting for this piece of ammo to be used against me. And it made it really hard to tell when everything really was fine or when he was just letting things go. And so, I mean, for the most part, he really does. He doesn't just say like, it's fine and bottle it up. He tends to really, truly let things go. Yeah. And he doesn't hold on to things. And that has been, I mean, just really great for me.
Helps being very forgetful.
That does help too. But in the beginning, it was like, he would be quick to apologize. And I would be like, but you can't really be sorry because, I mean, 2 minutes ago, you were actually upset about this thing. And because I made one comment, you're like, oh yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Yeah. And I'd be like, are you really sorry? Or
didn't see it from that perspective, or I was frustrated about something else. So, you know,
No, yeah, I understand that you meant it. But in my head, it was like, you're just saying sorry because you don't want to fight.
It's okay to take the time that you need and then get your thoughts and whatever, your words together. I have a hard time with words a lot. So figuring out what's actually bothering me and then actually communicating it properly is important. So that's another thing. Hey, let's set up this now. That's like, hey, I might not have the right words now, but something bothered me, and give me the time to figure that out and like work through it, and then we'll talk about it or whatever.
I love that you say this all the time, that you're not good with words. And I get it. And it's more that you like fumble over your words sometimes. Like sometimes, which is the equal amount of like the person that every other person does. Like I just did it. But you are so good with your words that your wedding vows, my whole goal with writing the vows was like, yes, to profess my love for you. But I just wanted to make people cry. Like that was it. Like I was going to know that I did good if I made people cry. And you did that. And then they're like, yeah, yours were fine, Kelsey. But like Gary's vows. Oh, yeah.
I think I can write stuff well if I have time to think about it. But coming up with it on the spot sometimes is a struggle for me because I heard this analogy before where men have boxes. And we have to pull a box out of our brain, we open the box, we think about the thing, and then we put it back in the box, put the box away, and then we have to get another box out in order to have a conversation about that whatever topic. That's very much how my brain works. Like if I'm focused on work or something that one of the kids did or whatever, you can think about 3,000 things at one time. I maybe can think about 2 or 3 at one time. Like I have to stop what I'm doing, like make sure I focus on what we're talking about, because it's just a struggle for me sometimes to come up with the words in the moment. Not necessarily even the words when I say that, sometimes it's the emotion behind it, the real meaning of it. Like I gotta actually dive into that in order to feel it, to respond properly or whatever,
I think that's fair.
I think I'm fair enough at like speaking or like talking, so I don't, when I say words, it's mostly the emotion behind it or the actual feelings of it and whatever.
I just wanted you to know you are very good with words.
Thank you, baby.
Just like everything else you do. Perfect. All right. So we overcame a lot of our trust issues. We overcame a lot of trust issues that we didn't cause each other. There were a lot of times that it was like, hey, I'm really insecure. And you would be like, but what have I done to make you feel that way? And I would be like, and I would have to like, and your instinct is to be like, to justify the feeling and to justify the feeling at you that I have and I'm making it your fault when it's not your fault or something like that. And it was just really like mind blowing that you didn't cause those trust issues, but you still helped me overcome them. You still made me feel confident. You still made me feel like you aren't going to do those same things that somebody else did, even if you are in the same type of situation, going out to the bar or whatever else, like going on bachelor parties or whatever. And it's just really was like, yeah, I have to trust that you can go be in these situations and not hurt me the way that I might have been hurt before, or something like that.
Yeah, I think we had both been hurt pretty badly in the trust aspect. So much so that like we knew the people that the other one was going to go hang out with and trusted everyone involved. And then 30 minutes to an hour after we left to go do something not together, we were both like, what are you up to? There was definitely a lot of insecurity in that aspect where, because of some of the stuff that we've been through, that's not to a fault of our own. It's just sometimes there's underlying issues that you don't really know about. And I think identifying that and communicating it is important.
Yeah. I think we had a hard time in the beginning of like understanding what issues were surface level and which ones were deep rooted and how to overcome it all. But we did somehow through it all.
You're a big part of that.
Thank you.
I don't know how to elaborate on that necessarily because I don't know specifically what you've done to me, but you've fixed me.
Well, ditto. My favorite thing is all of my family, like your family is supposed to be like on your side no matter what. And with all of my boyfriends in the past, they would do the whole like to the boyfriend,
all three of
them. They would be like, don't ever let this one go. Like to them about me. Cue Gary's intro into the family, and not one of my family members said that to him. Instead, they looked to me and was like, don't ever let him go. And I'm like, whoa, did y'all just like switch sides like that? Like he was the catch.
We knew.
And I was so lucky that he chose me, and they weren't wrong.
I got a lot of that too.
Them telling you that, yes. That I was lucky to have you.
Whatever it was that you said, but the opposite. No, it was very much this is whatever it is that y'all have is real, and whatever y'all have to do to figure out all of the other stuff that you've been through to make what y'all have work, you need to go through the valleys and peaks of that and figure it out, because it's worth fighting for, or whatever, like whatever cliche things. Whenever it is real and you know it and you want it and you love it, like make it work, figure it out how to, like, the person that you're with, and if it's worth it to you, all the other little BS can be left behind. And
yeah,
not left behind, but like figured out together, because you're on the same team. This is my first day being a marriage counselor, by the way, guys. So if I'm not saying it, well, give me a chance. I got low rates.
We are not here to give out marriage advice. We're just here to discuss to you guys with how much we love each other. And I don't know. Actually, I really do genuinely hope that this is like relatable, where you're like, oh yeah, I remember feeling those feelings, or I remember your own little meet cute and how, how you got to where you did in your relationship. My genuine hope is that this is relatable content.
And at least reassuring that we've all gone through something. We've all got our own issues. That doesn't mean that we're wrong or they're wrong or something's wrong with us, like whatever, like.
And the biggest thing is I hope that it's inspiring to some, because, a divorce is really, really common these days, and that's sad, but it just is. Yeah. And so I remember being divorced and like newly divorced and walking into church like I had the scarlet letter A on me and being like, I don't belong here and I'm going to get judged. And I don't belong in the young married class, but I didn't involve in the college kids class because I had different life experience. I just didn't feel like I belonged. And I think that's a very normal feeling to feel when you're in it. And it's very normal. Like I said, I had, 5 years of being single post-divorce and just really feeling like I didn't Like, it wasn't in the cards for me. I was an old spinster or whatever it is, at 21. And it, as hard as that season was, and all the pressures that I put on myself in that moment, 25. We met when I was 25. Thank you for doing the math. We learned in episode 1 that I was bad at math. He's over here counting on his fingers, like, how were you 5 years? Like, how old are you? But anyway, like, as hard as that season was, and I remember people being like, oh, honey, you're going to find someone. And I was like, ew, don't feel sorry for me. Like, I'm fine being single forever. Like, I genuinely was like accepting it so much that I was like, this is my new identity and it's great. And it was great. It was great for me to find myself, and it was great for me to have that season. But what I hope is the most inspiring is that you can do that and you can give yourself all of the grace in the world. But there still can be love after something as hard as divorce, or, you know, traumatic relationships that really do change who you are as a person and change how you look at things. The right person can help you kind of unpack that in a way that helps you appreciate those aspects of yourself. Some of the times that I was the most vulnerable, not always in the prettiest way, not always in the polished way, but just like really raw and real because of my trauma. That's the times that, like, I feel like Gary and I had our biggest breakthroughs, and he saw a side of me and for some reason stuck around, and for some reason loved me, like, not despite this thing, but all the more because of it.
Yeah, I think
that was a lot.
No, you're fine. I don't remember what it was specifically that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where, I remember now. Okay. So I vaguely remember, at least, so bear with me through it as I figure it out as I'm saying it. I heard something that was like, men need, what was it? Okay, women need protection, or to feel protected or whatever, in order to be vulnerable. And what was it? Men need something. Like,
it's like respect, but it's more than that.
Yeah. It's like, the men don't like being embarrassed or like whatever, you know, like, they want to be respected by their significant other. Like, you don't want someone to make fun of you that loves you and cares about you whenever you're in a vulnerable moment. So we need that, like, trust and respect aspect in order to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And women need to feel safe whenever they're being vulnerable. And so I don't know if I had never really earned that respect or whatever, but I've never felt it before, I don't know, a year or so, or a little bit less than that after we met. Like, there was at some point in time when we started having conversations, I was like, oh, I do have feelings and emotions and whatever, and we can actually hash this out a little bit, you know, like, I'd never really delved into that much. So there's something that you made me feel that was like opened up another level of maturity. I leveled up in my maturity or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I think feeling safe with each other, knowing that the other one is not going to judge you or make fun of you or make you feel unsafe whenever you talk about anything.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I need to have a real moment. You don't even really need to say it. Like, you don't need to trust each other.
Because I think that was one of the things that caught me off guard too, was that, I mean, like, little things, like, you would be up getting yourself a drink and you wouldn't even ask. Like, you would just bring me something too. You know, like, you would just be making a stop and you would get me something too. And it was like small little things like that that made me feel so seen and so safe, and like knowing that the needs that I have are going to be fulfilled. And then even more whenever I did talk about something and it was safe, and there wasn't a big conversation on like, hey, you can trust me, like, I'm here. Yeah. It was more in these like small moments of me, I mean, talking about more recent examples, but like me venting about something and being very passionate about something, and not necessarily, again, not putting a pretty little bow on it before I talk to you about it. Like, I'm raw, real, passionate, and you're like, I love how much you care. And I'm like, I'm saying mean things over here about this person, and I'm not being my best self. And I don't want to be a judgmental person. That's not who I try to be. But when it comes to something with my kids, when it comes to something that I feel like is a true injustice, like, yeah, sometimes I say the hateful things. I spew all the bad things first, and then we work through and we problem solve, and I try to meet the other person with grace. I really do try. But Gary gets the raw, real rant. And somehow in it, he's always like, oh, I just love your passion. Like, I just love how much you care. And I just feel like it's always been that. Like, I'm able to be my authentic self, and I don't feel judged. I feel like you see my heart. Even if the words that are coming out aren't pretty, you see the intent behind it. You see, like, oh, that's just Mama Bear. Like, of course she's going to protect our kids. Or, like, oh, she's hurt right now. She's in defense mode. Like, you see that even when it's aimed against you. I feel like you've been able to backtrack. I mean, we were arguing about something, whether it was schedule related with the kids or something going on with the kids, and we were getting worked up. And somehow in the middle of it, we both just started laughing at each other because we're like, are you being serious right now? Like, this is what we're like, this clearly isn't the real problem.
Is that when I told you to chill out?
No. Yeah, this one was a different time that you just started laughing. Like, you were like, do you feel better now? Or something like that, though. Like, do you feel good about what you just said? And I was like, no, obviously not. And you see me, even when I'm like, not pretty.
Still love each other. Love each other.
Each other?
We do.
Words are.
Love my Irish there. You love the one you're with or whatever, like through the thick and the thin and all that. Don't judge each other. Show each other a lot of grace. Like, be who you are. Feel the feelings and all that. But communicate. Like, yeah, have your moment and then be like, hey, I'm really sorry that I reacted that way or whatever, like, my feelings were, just talk to each other, whatever it is.
And unfiltered tends to be better. Like, if you come at it with, like, if you had to work to come up with the right speech for it,
yeah,
it's
fake.
You're not gonna feel any closure from it because it's not yourself. Versus if, like, maybe this has just worked for us, but for me, if I just, like, spew all the things, I tend to feel better about it. You do think about what you say, not necessarily to make a perfect script, but to make sure you're not saying something wrong, which is probably for the best. You don't want me overthinking it.
The best offense is a good defense.
Yes. But I tend to spew the things, and if I'm like, oh, no, I didn't mean that, you are able to move on. So that works for us. Oh. That you are able to be like, okay. And obviously, if I said something, like, truly awful, like, that wouldn't work if it was, like, directed at you. But for the most part, whenever I'm, like, problem solving all the different things, I like to just get all of my feelings out. I feel like I just, like, there's a lot of flaws there. But what else works in our relationship that might be different communication? Yeah, like, at one point I was, like, over the laundry because we have a lot of it with the kids and the sports and the whatever. Oh, yeah. And you're like, oh, I can do laundry. And I'm like, well, I don't mind washing it and folding it, but then by the time it's time to put it away, I'm done looking at these clothes. And so a lot of times you come home and you're like, I'll put them all away. Are you about to go do the laundry right now?
Yes, sir.
Wait, you're like, ooh, speaking of. It
wasn't on the calendar.
And then in that same breath, you're like, oh, I can do that all day. And you're like, but if I never have to do the dishes again. And I'm like, oh, that's what we've got kids for. That works for us.
Yeah.
Laundry folded away. You're like a project person, though.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
So I think we've talked about this a couple of times where there's two kinds of people in this world. And there's the people that need to, when they get home, they shed everything and quickly and forget however long it takes to find it later. I need to throw my stuff, like, what do you call it? Like dump zones or whatever?
Yeah, drop zone.
And then there's people that would rather take the extra time to put it where it goes so that way they know where it is later. And even if, so it takes the same amount of time overall and it doesn't really matter, but, like, we are both a little bit opposite there. And I know we've both kind of been another spot where we probably met in the middle. And I think I was a little bit more unorganized when I was younger and you were a little bit more organized. And then we both kind of flip-flop and I had to get organized in order to, like, survive. And so
that was weird because, yeah, having kids did that. It switched us.
Yeah.
Having kids made me be like, forget the order, forget the, like, I'm just so busy in the moment with them Whereas you're like, yeah, well, when I need the thing for
We
them,
gotta
when
take
I
the
need
time
the
to-
diaper bag, when I need this, I need to know that it's packed. I need
Yep.
to know that it's ready. And so you kind of, your survival mode was that. My survival mode was, we'll figure it out. There's going to be a Walmart
Yep.
where we're going. We'll buy the formula if we need to. Like, I kind of was just more like focused on these few main things,
Priorities were the same. We just took different approaches or whatever.
which really worked out for us. But now that they're a little bit older, we're kind of gravitating back to like, hey, wait, I really like being.
I need to stop doing that.
Oh. I was like, did I say something? But we're kind of gravitating back to our default settings, and that's kind of fun to see, but with a little blend of like how the other one is.
Yeah. I think communicating the things that you hate doing and the things that you don't mind doing is a big deal too. Like, I don't like taking the time to sort through all the laundry and fold it and all that, but I have no problem putting it where it goes. Like, making sure shirts are facing the same way and like all my silly little things that
these days
don't really bug me that much anymore, but they used to. Like, I wanted my sleeveless shirts, my t-shirts, and my collared shirts, and then the long sleeve like flannels and what, you know, like I had order for everything. And at one point in time when I was younger, everything was like as the like color coordinated a little bit too, which is ridiculous.
When I was in high school, that's how mine was.
Yeah.
And like slowly over time, I just kind of like, let this go, let this organization thing go, to where I got to the point where like my living zones are very picked up, tidy.
Yeah.
I like cleanliness, but whenever things start to get hectic, my closet becomes unraveled first. I tend to have like a section of the closet with things that like I wore for like 5 minutes, and then I'm going to wear it again. So it has its own drop zone now. But so it's a little organized, makes me feel organized, but chaos. And then slowly the bathroom, and then slowly like my car, and it's like my zones are a mess. And then that's when I'll come home and I'll look around and I'll be like, okay, I've got to prioritize myself. It's become self-care, like cleaning my side of the closet. But we are very different there. We're also very different. And I was actually talking, I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but I was talking to somebody at work, and something along the lines of, when they get home, they just have to sit for 5 minutes. Give them 5 minutes to chill, to unwind, to whatever. And I was like, if I sit, I'm done.
Yeah.
If I have to keep going, do this, and this, so that way when I sit, I can actually chill. But I was like, but I noticed that about my husband, that when he comes home, he tends to plop for a few minutes. And if I let him have that few minutes, maybe we end up having dinner soon after or whatever. After dinner, I can be like, oh, go hang the ceiling fan, go do this. And he can take on he's got a whole second wind.
Yeah.
I don't know if you love that I do that, but you're a lot more willing than if you like walk through the door and I'm like,
chaos.
project. You're like, absolutely not.
I just came from that, like doing projects all day. So having a few minutes to like, yeah, just recharge or switch mentalities or whatever it is, you know, just have that. Because I get the kids to school most of the time in the morning, and so you have like a nice quiet drive to work and whatever, and then you come home to the chaos. Whereas I kind of wake up to the chaos and then work all day in the chaos, and then I don't, even if it's just like a quick breath, I go put my stuff down in the room, like change out of work stuff into like casual stuff or whatever, and then come back out. Like, it doesn't even necessarily have to be like an actual break, but like just kind of taking my time to be home. And then,
but it took me a while to be like, you know, and it wasn't like conscious. I thought about this all the time. I didn't, but I noticed, I was very aware that you came home and you plop. And in my head, I was like, I want to do that. Yeah. And then the times that I did do that, I was like sitting there like, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. It wasn't restful for me.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to just get up, do all of the things, and then I'll get to plop. And so it got to a point where we really just like saw what the other person needed without having this big discussion about it. Kind of saw what the other person needed and was like, okay, I'm not resentful when you're sitting on the couch while I'm cooking dinner and Trace is like, mommy, mommy, mommy. It's not a resentful thing, because it's like, when it's your turn, I know you're going to be up and I'm going to be able to chill and not feel guilty. I think that was the game changer, when both of us could be in our true chill, even while the other person was in buzz mode and is like getting all these things done. And it's like, hey, hon, I just don't have it in me today. And it's like, yeah, cool. Like, take your time. And almost, I'm grateful when you do that, because it's like, I know that you're recharging and we're going to get so much more done on the, like, whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
So
I know one of the biggest differences between the two of us is that I have the switch to turn my brain off, and I can literally just sit there and not think about anything.
crazy.
And the only time you do that, and even sometimes while you're sleeping, your brain doesn't stop. But yeah, like,
I can't be the only person that has like anxiety dreams. Like, whenever something stressful is going on in my life, it presents in like stressful scenarios in my dreams.
so I have that too, but mine is like unidentifiable because I don't really remember my dreams very often. But I know, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, everything's a couple weeks ago to me because I don't remember stuff. But
That's like, was it Nolan or Trace that used to always be like,
the other day, that was
it
Nolan.
was like, oh,
Yeah.
that was so long ago. What are
That's
you
me and Nolan is lining up again. So I had like a really exciting day. I don't remember what it was, but it was like I don't remember what caused it, but it was like a good day. I was excited about stuff, like I was amped up about things, and which I'm a pretty even keel person. So like me being like heart fluttering, like can't catch my breath. I don't actually like giddy about something that's not who I am very often. So I remember like having a really hard time going to sleep, which is not abnormal for me. But then while I was asleep, I had really like weird anxious dreams, and I don't really get anxious a lot, like I definitely have those feelings and whatever, but I don't know, been through a lot and have taught myself how to just kind of let that go.
Right.
Whatever. But it was weird for me to have dreams, first of all, because I don't really dream very often. But then having like stuff where I was like waking up in the middle of the night and thinking and like still feeling that dreams while I was like that feeling while I was actually awake. And then sometimes not even really being able to tell whether I was awake or asleep. That was a weird thing too. So whatever.
Me daily, all the time.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to me very often. So I feel for you. Yeah.
My favorite, like, because we are very different in a lot of ways, but we went for a couples massage for, I don't know if it was Mother's Day or Father's Day or something, but it's the thing we like to do when we can. And at the end of it, I remember being like, hey, like, this is kind of weird, but I ended up praying for a lot of mine. Now, I fell asleep for some of it too, but for some reason, it just got put heavy on my heart to like thank God for that moment and thank God for like our health and a lot of things. And you were like, I didn't think about anything. You were like, my mind was so blank that whole entire time. And I'm like, there's times when I'm trying to relax and I'm like, what do we have going on tomorrow? And then the next day, what do I need to add to my grocery list? And then I'm like coming up with, like, lately it's been like podcast ideas, and I have to like brain dump things into notes so I can tell my brain, you thought about it, you handled it, it's done, time to think about something else. And then I have to go back into the notes 75 times because my brain does not stop. It's like, but there's more.
Yeah, I definitely have a bit of that. Like when I was trying to come up with a name for the podcast or whatever, the project thing, it's once I actually can like feel like I'm at a good place with it, I can turn it off. But like it's not like I've done this and this thing. It's more of a feeling like, okay, I feel good about my research or whatever I've done. Like it, and I don't think about the next thing very often. It's like I'm on this one thing, we're good here, now nothing. Now I play Block Blast or whatever.
Yeah, I think you are really good about that. You are really good about closing the box, putting it away. I'm like a Windows, whatever. I've got a million tabs open. Most of them are ads. Most of them are whatever. And one of them's playing music.
That's how our phones are.
I can't figure out which one it is. Yeah.
I close every single app as soon as I'm done with it.
No, if I go in right now to my phone, let's see how many apps I have open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
20.
10, 11, 12, 13, I have so many apps. I just don't close them.
I have
God,
zero.
I'm still scrolling.
I don't lock my phone unless I'm in the middle of a conversation and I'm going to put it in my pocket and come back to it.
I have a Zoom app open.
When have you ever Zoomed?
I must have clicked it on accident and didn't go back and close it. ADT, we don't even have ADT anymore. There's something else.
Yeah.
We have a home security system. We are safe.
We have the best one.
Whichever one's the best one, we have that one.
We have two home security systems. We have an actual home security system and then an old school home security system.
The oldest school.
The ones that go bang.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this has been fun. I feel like we've talked for a very long time, but we did cover our whole origin stories and how we met, and I feel like we covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
Is there anything we're missing?
I don't know. I think we summed up our whole lives in 2,355 bars or whatever this thing says.
I do want to tease a future episode. I don't know when this is going to come out, but I remember when we were first dating, and it was very early, very, very early. I mentioned to you that heavy on my heart was either surrogacy or fostering was something that I really wanted to do. And you were like, huh. And I don't remember you having like a whole lot of input one way or the other. Definitely leaned towards fostering. Like you were open to both. Neither one was a deal breaker. And we kind of were like, okay, yeah, cool. Like table that. And fast forward to, we have completed a surrogacy journey.
Yep.
And at some point, I would love to share more about that. That will definitely get its own podcast. But that was something.
I get a series.
But that being said, that's just something else to kind of like look forward to us talking about. Because although I feel like we covered a whole lot of ground in how we met and who we are, we got a lot to share. We've done a lot of really cool things, and we've got, I don't know, a lot more to tell.
All right, rapid fire.
I don't have any rapid fire questions.
Who said, this is off the top of my head.
Okay, cool.
Who said I love you first?
Me. On accident. We were not boyfriend and girlfriend. I had no business saying it as early as I did. And you were like,
a loud thing.
Like pretty much the next day, I think you were like, we said it, we meant it, we're not going to say it again for a while, or something like that. Like it was something along the lines of like,
you felt the feeling.
Yeah.
So you.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I did. I said it first, and you said it back.
I said we were married first. So.
You did too.
We weren't.
We were not. You have more rapid fires, or was that it? Where did you propose? What was the elevation of where you proposed?
Oh, well, we got the magnet on the bridge. Tells us. Yeah, that was kind of a cool, fun little story. We took probably our only trip.
Only trip
for like more than one day, maybe, that we've ever taken together, just the two of us. Yeah, we went to Paladura Canyon up in the Panhandle, which was awesome. That was a good trip. So cool. We rode horseback and all that. And then we went to Santa Fe, right? Did we go to Santa Fe or Albuquerque? I think it was Santa Fe. And then we went up into Colorado Springs, saw Garden of the Gods, and did all of those things around there. Went to Estes Park. Is that what it's called? Yeah, that was probably... Obviously, all the rich people live out there for a reason.
What was the highlight, though? Because there was just somewhere on the drive where we like had to pull over and just...
That was on the way back to Colorado Springs. It was a good day. Well, we were going to go into the Rocky Mountains, but it was still... Or the Rocky Mountain National Park, but it was still closed. And we didn't know that because...
And we had planned to do Pikes Peak a different day.
Yep.
But it ended up falling on like the last
our
day
dating anniversary.
Which was on our dating anniversary.
Yep.
And we ended up going to Pikes Peak, and it was the first day that it was open all the way to the top.
Yep.
Because it had been snowing so much, and it had been closed to the top. That was the first day it was open. And we made it all the way to the top.
And then I had a random stranger gave them a really expensive camera and said, hey, can you take some pictures of us?
And then while they were taking pictures of us, he starts telling me how much he loves me. And I'm like, let's let these poor people get back to their trip. I'm sure they want to do their own thing. And then I like realized what was happening, and I don't remember the rest. It's a miracle.
We were both very cold, unprepared for the 40-degree drop or whatever.
I was dressed cute. I was not dressed for the warmth. My ankles were showing.
And turns out she was like an amateur photographer or something. So
good.
Yeah. I mean, not like if we had paid like the greatest photographer in the world a bunch of money to come do this, I would have been disappointed in the pictures that they got. But for some random person on the...
She like took time to like get a couple like shots of us,
Yeah.
with, like showing the ring and everything.
She got like down lower on one knee and took a picture of it in this angle. And like normal people would have just taken a couple from like regular height and whatever, and then they would have just given me the camera back. I don't know. It was kind of a little cool coincidence or whatever.
Really good. Beautiful memory. Any other rapid fires?
Let's see. Rapid-ish fire.
Always the ish.
Because it's, it's never rapid. No, I can't think of anything else. I'm pretty pooped.
I think we're going to wrap this one up. Stay tuned for some other cool episodes. I know that we are going to have more guests on. At some point, we'll have like a bloopers reel because, man, do we have some bloopers.
At some point in time, and I'm surprised it didn't happen during this one, you are guaranteed to get interrupted by Trace.
Yeah. He just couldn't find us.
We're 3 episodes in and somehow it hasn't happened yet.
Technically, it happened on our first attempt.
Well,
it happened on like episode 0.5.
Yeah.
But anyways, we are very grateful that you guys are sticking it out with us and listening and keeping up with us. Definitely, we want to hear from y'all too. If you're able to comment, or I know you're able to, but if you don't
email
mind
us,
let us know if you have things you want to hear. When we do a Q&A, if you have questions for us.
Elaborate on this story or whatever. I'm sure we definitely started off on something during this one and weaved off to another thing. And
if you have, or just whole episode ideas where you're like, oh, I'll do a whole episode on such and such. We are very open to ideas.
We have a lot of our own things that we want to do, but it would be cool to hear like, hey, maybe our number 10 ranked thing that we want to talk about is everyone else's number 1. So we'll talk about that next. We'll like change our order or something, so.
For sure. But we want to hear from you, and hopefully y'all want to keep hearing from us because we're going to keep.
If you do, what's wrong with you? I'm just kidding.
Anyways, cue the outro.
I don't know how to stop this thing.